ladies and germs. Let's get this thing started, shall we? Oh boy. Oh boy. That was some. Okay, hold on. Let me get this thing queued up here, people. Hold on. Here we go. Let me. Wrong button. Sorry, guys. This is the button. Whee! That's the button we were looking for. Okay. Switch up the soundtrack. Boy, oh boy, what was what was that? That was something else. That was a good old-fashioned ass whooping, as they say in the business. Okay, let's get some things queued up here. Thank you guys for being here. I asked you guys who y'all got and announced, and 100% in the votes. We're leaning for the Hoosiers. I agree. This thing was over before it started. Okay, so let's get this thing queued up and ready to go. I think we're queued up. I think we're live and ready to go. Let's make sure we're live on all platforms. Thank you guys for being here, though. Okay, let's get it rolling. All right, we're rocking and rolling. Okay, let's get into it. All right, people. Let me make sure. Okay, we muted. Let's make sure our audio is not too... Okay, alright. Music is not drowning us out. Okay, guys, let's get into the stream now, and let's talk about my reaction to whatever this was. Because this was not, I don't think anybody, and even, huge, Hoosier fans, I don't think they predicted and thought that the Hoosiers could beat the Ducks by 30... Gosh, what was the total? Like, I think everybody stopped paying attention to what the score was by the end here, because it was not close. Okay, let's hold here. Here we go. There we go. 56-22. Why am I not good with simple math here? 56-22. You're going to make me pull out the old calculator. All right, here we go. 30. Oh, shit. 34 effing points. 34 effing points. This was this was something else. This was not... I didn't expect this at all. I didn't think that this is how this game would go. If you ask me, I made a prediction. I thought that this game was definitely going to be a lot closer than it was. I had for my initial prediction, with just kind of how the college playoff was going at the time, I was like, this is too perfect for Indiana, like, to just be the 1 seed and just ride all the way out to it. And so after predicting Indiana to get there against Georgia, and then Georgia ended up losing to Ole Miss, and we had our Final Four set, I kind of retwisted it because I was like, this is too perfect. Something's going to get in the way. Oregon's going to get in the way. Or, for a hot second there, I thought Bama, but then I came to my senses before kickoff, because it's like, no. But with just how this things go, and the storybook continues, and it showed tonight. Now, one thing I think people are I think it's going to get forgotten. It's going to be lost because of how this game ended up turning out. with how much of a blowout it was. One thing we can't deny that happened that we saw tonight was the fact that uh, Oregon spotted them 21 points. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they spotted them even more because you go look at the turnovers. Turnovers alone cost Oregon the game. How many? Gosh. First off, we started with the pick six, so let's get that out of the way. Hold on, I'm gonna put some headphones on and look a little sillier. But so first play of the game, you're spotting, the Hoosiers 7, pick six to the crib. Not exactly how Oregon wanted to start, which I mean I made jokingly for my Big Ten prediction. This is what I predicted the Ohio State Indiana game would start out. I was like, what if to start out the game Mendoza or Julian Sain throw a pick six, because both quarterbacks, they'd kind of been tested, but not tested to the severity of what tonight happened with Dante Moore. Because oh my goodness, you want to talk about a test? There's definitely a test tonight, and it started with the first play of the game, going pick six. So you have that. So there's that. Okay, whatever. Shake it off. Because personally, I do think that Oregon. No, not Oregon. I think Oregon. Personally, I do think that Oregon shaked it off from the beginning too, because you look at what kind of like transpired after. Oregon went right back down and made it 7-7. But then when, we get a little bit further into the game with how the game's progressing and going, there was also the blocked field goal was at the very end of the game. But then you had that crucial, critical fumble. The fumble play where how many drives started, whether it was a fumble or it was the pick six, there were so many drives where Indiana started inside the 15, like inside the 5, inside the 15. Like it was bad. Super bad, which in fact here, let me pull up where's our stat aficionado here. Pull it up here. Okay, look at this. Turnover. Oh, okay, so it wasn't 4, it was 3. But look at this. 40 seconds left. What the? Oh, they fixed it. 1 yard run. Yep, this was right after the fumble. What happened? Where was Surratt? So Surratt's touchdown. Why am I not remembering what was? Because there's the fumble, and then the pick six, and then there was one more critical turnover. Oh, yes. The sack fumble. Yes. The sack fumble, because the nose tackle, when it showed the aerial view of how the play transpired, the nose tackle, which I will say too, the Hoosiers defensive line, they just got after the Ducks, and both lines had been really good all season. But it showed the aerial view and how the play broke down. The nose tackle slid over all the way, like the stunt. He went over to the tackle side, and everybody shifted down. And because the DN crashed in, the linebacker came free, and then that's when he got the hit on Dante Moore and forced the fumble. I totally forgot. Yep, right here. And then again, the fumble turned right back around, touchdown. I'm breaking it down. Here we go. Yeah, I forgot there was the two fumbles, because we knew the one that went off the running back when he was throwing it. I forgot about the sack fumble, but yeah, no, the defense for IU just freaking, oh gosh, they just freaking got after it. And then the other thing too, when you look at it, okay, keeping them in check, punt, but then from the turnovers there in the second quarter, that flip, because I'm going to be honest. This game virtually was over by halftime. But then from there, look at how many straight touchdowns. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 straight touchdowns from the first time they punt where it was 17-14. By the next time the Ducks are able to get a defensive stop and get them to punt the ball again, scores 15-42. Like this was over. This game was over. It was bad. It was bad. Ryan Williams or Jeremiah Smith? Give me Jeremiah Smith. Give me Jeremiah Smith. I think I even would think that last year, too. I think Smitty did not have. No. Williams, he did not have a good season this year. He wasn't even the top receiver on his own team. Like Bernard played better than him in some games, and then even what's his name? Number 1. Can't think of his name off the top of my head. Let's go here to roster. He just hit the portal. Teams. Where's the SEC? Oh, it's over here. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. They have 6 quarterbacks. And then Simpson's going to declare for the draft, but we'll see because Carson Beck declared for the draft. Cam Ward declared for the draft, but then both of them came back and played one more year. So, Isaiah Horton. Right now, he's currently in the portal. Yeah, he had more of a productive season than Williams did. I think Bama's struggles though was more than just Ryan Williams not having a breakout season like he did. And in turn also, I think the same kind of thing could happen to oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name? The phenomenal freshman from Miami, number 10. Why am I blanking on his name? Give me 3 seconds. Why the hell can I not think of his name? Tony, yeah, he had the one with the touchdown there at the very end of the game. Malachi Tony, where it should be right here. There it is. Look at that, freshman. Dude's a freaking freshman. I would say, now, fun fact, if you want to look at it and kind of go stat for stat, who had a better true freshman season out of Malachi Tony and Ryan Williams, I'd argue Malachi Tony. But again, you'd have to break it down a little bit more stat for stat, because I don't know, it's hard to compare, because Williams had a good enough year where, there was talks that he could be the top draft pick this past season, top talent in the wide receiver position and all that. But yeah. Okay, let's continue, guys. Let's continue talking about how this game played out. So then we had the early pick 6, Oregon scores back. Where personally for me, what made me think, okay, we got a game here and this could be something special, was this particular touchdown here with Becker. I think one thing where I will give credit a little bit with Oregon is the fact that when how do I say this? It's hard, it truly is hard to assess kind of how the game went overall with the turnovers, because I don't know. I'm thinking the Becker, and that was the other thing too, is when Becker had a touchdown, Surratt had a touchdown, Cooper had a touchdown. Every single, do not get me wrong, freaking the Hoosiers offense was making Oregon's defense work all stinking game. I think some other things that will be forgotten too is the fact that um, what if, hear me out on this one, if Oregon had a healthy, um, their healthy starting backs in it, because Whittington did not play, James did not play. Like they had their fifth and their sixth string running backs in there for the game. And the other thing too, because I mean you saw it there in the first quarter, especially, and in the first half, like the ball kept going to him. It was number 22. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but there were, whether it was a running play or just a dink and dunk pass play over the middle or something more, kept hitting him. Here, which in fact, let's pull it up. Let's pull up his name. Let's go find it. I think Dean. I think his last name's Dean. Because again, he's a player that came in today. Because the other, where is he? Harris? Number 22, Harris. Yeah, he got the ball so many times in the first quarter and in the second quarter, because it's kind of what got Oregon to settle down after the snowball that started in the first quarter. Because, I mean, he helped march them down the field before Oregon was able to cap off that second drive with a touchdown. But then after that, they stopped going to him. I don't think he wasn't the running back when the fumble happened. I think that fumble went off of okay, no, this is the fumble recovery when he got sacked. And then this is the fumble. Yep. This must be the fumble that it was the second back, because they were running a two-back system tonight that did not. Yeah, I think after that second fumble, and then when they turned it around and they had this touchdown, which by the way, this was Mendoza's second touchdown of the game. So Mendoza's second touchdown of the game that made it 28-7. This is when the game was virtually over. Trying to see. I don't remember. Oregon missed that field goal from Sappington? Oh my gosh. I didn't even notice that. I did not even notice he missed that field goal. Hello, that's some great sports journalism by me, having no clue that the field goal was no good. All right, let's keep it rolling, guys. Let's keep it rolling. But then, what were some other big things that happened in this game? I think not only with Mendoza's ability, cool crazy stat to talk about too is the fact that Mendoza had more touchdowns than incompletions in this game as well. And that to me, because there's parts of me when watching this game where I thought, okay, Oregon can definitely, if Oregon can settle into this game, they can fight back. Considering, just wait till Oregon starts to even out some of the turnover margin, with the 21 points that Indiana got after Mendoza, because Mendoza threw 6 touchdowns tonight. I don't think any quarterback has thrown 6 touchdowns in the Peach Bowl since Joe Burrow, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he had a hell of a game. Like, yeah, the Surratt touchdown, Becker's touchdown, Cooper's touchdown. There's the long one where the receiver had to extend out to go get it. That one was deep in the third quarter or in the fourth quarter. After that, the other thing too that can't be ignored is just the momentum swing point wise of when you look and you see that after after they missed that field goal, so we have, I would say, this middle third here, the middle third here of halfway through the second quarter, and in the third quarter, like even going up to the box score here, 28 points in the span of about 10 minutes game time was really what turned this game completely, because the two fumbles both turned into touchdowns, and then Mendoza and Indiana also had their own long drive that went up for a touchdown. I think this was the Becker touchdown on this drive. Let me double check. Nope, this was the Black touchdown. Yes. That's the one on the goal line. So then which one's the long ball? Becker. Yep, Becker was the 36-yarder. So then the second one. But then with Indiana getting the ball to start the second half, continuing, look at this. It jumps from 7 to 28 to 42 to 7. Like, again. And the other thing, too, is this drive, this first drive for Indiana, took up 6 minutes. So since the fumble that turned into a touchdown and then the missed field goal drive, because this was with 50-something seconds, like under a minute, Oregon probably real time from halftime to that touchdown. And then when they come back out to make it 15 to 42, Oregon probably hadn't seen the field or ran an offensive play in probably real time 40 minutes, roughly. I will admit I was a little bit behind because I had dinner before the game started. Okay, what else here? Overall run downs. And then look at this. By the time, okay, Indiana scores 5 straight touchdowns. Look at this. The second half, I mean, again, we're talking about moral victories, kind of like how I was with Ole Miss the other day. Punt. You know, they held them to some punts, and then you could see they got a touchdown here. And then also, since the second quarter, they had to go for it on every single fourth down to try to get back into the game. What touchdown was this? Yeah, Black had 2 touchdowns. See, that's how dominant Mendoza's game was tonight, that you forget that Black had 2 rushing touchdowns. Oh, he didn't have 6, he had 5. My bad. That's what's crazy too, is it wasn't a huge yard performance like Trinidad or Carson Beck the other day. Like, the quarterback who had more passing yards was more. Like, it was only 177, but it was an efficient 177. And that's no hate either. Like, there was seriously, like, it just from the get-go and from the jump, this was Indiana's game. It was ugly. But I thought, there was parts of me that thought that Oregon could have fought back in this game. Just considering some of the games that I've watched of Oregon this year, where either they've been tied or down, they've gotten back into the game. When these two teams played earlier, the mental mistakes, and this is one thing that I will say kind of had a difference in this game versus the last time when these two teams played each other, is the mental mistakes that took a toll in the first time that they played. They didn't happen till much later in the game. So when Moore was throwing his interceptions, they happened in the fourth quarter. That led to the touchdowns and the field goals to seal the 10-point win for Indiana. But then this time around, they happened right at the jump that spotted Indiana 3-touchdown lead. But again, I'm not going to hate. They absolutely kicked ass. Their defense played phenomenal as well tonight. That was one thing that people thought coming in, is that their defense would get after it. I'm interested to see, considering that Ole Miss and their defense was able to get after Carson Beck, I'm interested to see how much Miami's offensive line can protect Beck, and vice versa. Can Indiana's line hold on to Miami to prevent any injury to Mendoza or any serious like struggles of okay, we can't get the running game going because I don't know. Like I thought the same thing for Ole Miss and going into the Ole Miss game, but I mean, Ole Miss found a way. They were able to have a pretty decent, solid running game in that game. I think another player that had a big game too for Oregon, Johnson as well. He didn't quit for the whole game. And I think too with the offense, if we're trying to count some victories, I think an issue that Oregon might have had for the whole game is they didn't get. I mean, I don't remember or recall Benson getting involved in the game at all. I don't recall Sadiq getting involved in the game until way late. Again, I think after the multiple fumbles, like I think that second quarter is what sealed it, signed, sealed, and delivered, and then it was just a slow burn for the rest of the game. But I will say this too, I'm not looking at this game kind of like how I look at the Notre Dame Ohio State game where, if Notre Dame had a little bit more time, maybe they would have come back. Like I think with how dominant Indiana was in that second half and taking advantage of, because I think statistically, I'll have to look at it again because I don't know it off the top of my head. I will admit that. I think points off of turnovers, I think the number one team is Indiana. And they are the team that would take advantage of the second you give us the ball, we're going to score a touchdown. And it showed tonight, obviously. And even on some of the plays too, like the one play, and again, because with the flow of how this game was going, I don't think it was truly over until that first touchdown coming out in the third quarter for Indiana. That really did put it away and put it to a 4 touchdown lead. Is even in plays where it's breaking down and we have like this wild sequence as well. Guess who got this fumble? Mendoza. And guess who turned what looked like a fumble recovery into a positive play? Mendoza. And I think, if you want to do a little bit of comparison on not the luck side, but kind of just how, the ball bounces the right way. Here we go. Is this exact same sequence and play happened in the Orange Bowl against the Red Raiders, and Morton ended up fumbling that ball, and it was Uiagalelei that took it down, marched it, punched it into the end zone. And kind of funny enough, I don't remember if I talked about this in the stream the other day, where I talked about Oregon being able to just capitalize on turnovers, and that's how they beat the Red Raiders. And like for it to turn and the same exact, like this is how Oregon beat Texas Tech, it's how Oregon loses to Indiana. I don't know if I talked about that, but the fact that that is how it turned out, I think is pretty funny. But not funny in a different way. Not like funny ha-ha. Funny weird, where it's kind of, you live by the turnover, you die by the turnover. So, oh wow. Dante Moore, some things that people were talking about coming into this game is everybody was talking about the QB prospects on who's going to be the number 1 overall, who's going to eventually get drafted by the Raiders, and we'll see where their career goes from there. People were talking about how Dante Moore could be the number 1 overall pick. And if we're looking at potential prospects, keep messing with it. If we're looking at potential prospects, Dante Moore is up there, Mendoza's up there, Ty Simpson's up there. I think Castellanos could be up there. Chandler Morse is going to have to be up there. Trinidad's going to have to be up there. Pavia as well, because these are guys that did not. Here's breaking news. Maybe I can make a video on it later or something. These are guys that did not get their 6th or 7th year of eligibility granted, so they have to declare for the draft. With how this game went, I don't think it necessarily tanked. Moore's draft stock because I think, I mean, if the Browns want to go get him, if the Cardinals want to go get him, if the Raiders want to go get him, they go get him because I don't think it affects it too much. One thing I don't think we can deny after today's matchup is Mendoza's going number one. I think that can't be denied because right now he's sitting on the edge of Joe Burrow, Tim Tebow, Jameis Winston, Devontae Smith, receiver. He's sitting on the edge of that kind of history where you go undefeated, you win your conference, you win a bowl game. You know, you go undefeated, you win your conference, you win the Heisman, and you win the national championship. And to me, all those have the makings of this is why he should be the number one pick. Like, I don't think, and we're gonna get to April, and there will be debates and talks about, okay, who's the number one overall guy? Who's the guy to get this draft? And we're gonna have talks about it when there is no competition. We know who the number one guy is. Sorry, I'm messing with this. Still split 50-50 in the stream. Okay. But I think the other crazy thing, too, with how dominant the Hoosiers were tonight is the receiving core. Like, Becker didn't need to have a big game. Williams didn't need to have a big game. Surratt didn't need to have a big game. No, like, the game just naturally came to the Hoosiers where everybody ate today, which that appears to be a reoccurring theme in a lot of these games as well. What else? Yes, Mendoza, absolutely phenomenal game today. I was a little curious as to why he kept playing. I mean, because, again, they could have done a curtain call. They could have subbed him out because, I mean, you look at the Purdue game, the Bama game, not the Big Ten because he played till the very last, and in the Big Ten championship game. Trying to think, not the Oregon game the first. No, not the Oregon game the first time, but Illinois. Who the frick did they play? Hold on, now I gotta freaking pull it up. Who the frick did they play? Maryland. Yes, it was the Maryland game. And the Wisconsin game. How could I forget? Where his brother went in, Alberto. So I thought that could have happened too, where he goes in, plays a little bit. Because, yeah, he played till the very end. And even McAfee on his stream was joking about what the hell is he still doing in their head. And then they joke like, hey, we're still playing a football game, right? Like, it doesn't matter, spot the ball. Yeah, this is freaking impressive. 38-3, 56-22, 73-0, 63-10, 56-6, 55-10. So what is so crazy now when I'm looking back on these games is Penn State kept them close, Ohio State kept them close, Iowa kept them close, Oregon the first time kind of kept them close because, again, Mendoza did throw that late game pick six that made it 20-20. Where, like, who's gonna beat these guys? And the last team that truly actually gave them a fight, right here, that Big Ten championship game. I'm telling you, this game was phenomenal too. We haven't talked about this game in a while, but this game was absolutely phenomenal. And again, not his best game statistically either. 1-1. Both QBs went 1-1. This one went down to the wire till the very end. It also took, which myself included, forgot. A lot of things had to go Indiana's way that game too, like a missed field goal, um, and a goal line stop too. So I would here we go. Let's play fun hypothetical here as we move to the national championship. If we have a situation where we're on the goal line, kind of like how we were the other day, Indiana's been able to get a goal line stop. Miami has also been able to get a goal line stop on the defensive side of the ball. So when you look at the offense, which offense would break first, Miami's or Indiana's? If it gets to a situation where we're on the goal line, you got to punch this in for a win, because hell, who knows? No one knows. That's how this game could turn out and go. Because I mean, I think it's going to be a good one. It has the makings of a good one. It's got to be a good one. But we'll just see, guys. We'll just see. Be sure to let me know your thoughts or some other big standouts. I think Hemby also had a pretty good game too. It's going to be probably forgotten too, with just the amount of. I mean, when the game was out of reach, the way that Indiana kept sustaining drives with the run game too. Their offensive line was able to move Oregon all around. And just, again, whether it was Black or whether it was Hemby, like, they would get the first down and set up the situation where, okay, Mendoza's going to let this thing fly. What else happened in this game? Oh, see, I knew I had a little spotlight for Harris. But yeah, I don't think he got the ball in the second half once, but he did come up big for the Ducks there in the first half to kind of hold things to a minimum at least, because again, that game with as ugly as it was, it could have been a lot uglier, because yeah, interesting. We talked about those. Okay, but yeah, guys, we're gonna end the stream here. People on the shorts, we're gonna do a hard out. So I'll see you guys in another stream. Okay, we'll leave that there. All right. Okie dokie. Looks like we were split 50-50 with the votes on both sides of the stream. But yeah, I totally agree. This thing got ugly, and after it got ugly, it was more of a what at what point? I mean, what's one of the oh yeah, look at this. I like looking at this fun little bar graph. There was no point in this game or Oregon was going to win it, which in fact, if we go back to here, look at how crazy this graph is. So again, Oregon's winning. No. IU's winning this game because IU has the ball. We're late in the fourth quarter. And then Mendoza throws that pick six to make it 20-20. And it's like, oh, shit, here we go. This is anybody's game. But then after it was 20-20, Moore did throw an interception that IU turned around and turned into a touchdown. And then there was another late, I think, turnover on downs or punt. And IU just took it and kicked the field goal. But, yeah. This game... Funny enough, this game was a lot better than what we saw tonight. Yep, there it is. Whoops. House call, baby. And when was this game? This game was in October. This game was a while ago. And clearly, as you guys can see, the better team that did get better throughout the year was IU. Let's actually... I want to look. Ooh, Dante Moore on Oregon's loss. We beat ourselves. I agree. I agree. And I'm not trying to make it sound like I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer where it's like making excuses because I'm not. Because Indiana played their freaking ass off and just beat them down. But I think what will get lost in translation while we look back on this game is if you give. Okay, let's go here. Let's fix that up a little bit. Like you give any team a 21-point spot. The only team that's been able to come back from that is Alabama, because I mean Oklahoma, when Oklahoma lost to Alabama earlier in the playoff, like that was a historic collapse, and the only team that has blown a lead like that was Oklahoma the time before when they played and lost to Georgia. Like no team in the playoff and no team like ever, like it is a rarity where if you are down by 21 points, like no, you don't come back. All right, look at some other stuff. Let's look at some other stuff real quick. La, 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 la. Okay, sweet. All right, guys. Let me check the chat one more time. Let me see if you guys, let me see your hot takes. Any predictions? Oh, now we're leaning towards, we had the Ducks. The Ducks are pulling away a little bit in the voting. No, but I got nothing much else to, yes, we were going to look at that. I was going to look at, since the Indiana game, was there any other game? Oh my gosh, actually, yeah, there were. There were three. Look at them. The Iowa game, the USC game, and the Washington game were more tests within the season. Because I've kind of made this point too where, and the talking point that I make is it's not a shot at Ohio State at all, but the reason why I made the point was because of Ohio State. And the reason why is I looked, and when you look at their schedule and who they played, you just look at how just the physicality of they were playing good teams. Like, yeah, they also had to go up to Washington and play Washington as well, just like how Oregon did. And then going to the big house and beating Michigan, beating your rival after you have all this pressure on you with your young QB and going undefeated in the regular season and being the number one overall team. Like, there's a lot of pressure, but so you don't discredit those wins. But the one thing that I pointed out for Ohio State is, of all the teams, whether it was the Texas, Illinois, there was never a game until the Big Ten Championship against Indiana where Ohio State gets punched in the mouth and then they figure out a way to come back. And they figure out a way to combat it, rally the troops together, and pull off a win. The same thing with Ohio State is exactly what happened at Texas Tech, because you look and you see the same exact thing was bothering Texas too, because they blew out all these opponents that they played, whether it was Houston, whether it was BYU both times, whether it was West Virginia. Yes, they did lose to Arizona State, but Baron Morton wasn't playing in that game. So you have to look at the injuries, because I think if you take Fernando Mendoza away, I don't think Indiana goes undefeated. You take Dante Moore away, I don't think Oregon goes undefeated. But the point that I was trying to make is, like, when these tests come, how do teams bounce back and how do they respond? We clearly saw it with how many times Oregon has been tested, and then they also play, they don't sit and rest the first week. They play JMU, they're already game set and in game shape, ready to go for that Texas Tech game. We see what happened. And I think, when you look at Indiana with how many times, because that was the other thing that I was going to look at, is how many times has Indiana been tested? They've been tested just as many times. And I think when you schedule big games like Penn State, like Indiana, like Iowa, like USC, like your rivals, this is why Indiana's the last team standing. This is why Miami's one of the last team standing. And that's why these two teams are going to play for the big one when it matters the most, because you go look at their schedule, look at who they played in the regular season. They weren't playing Pop Warner teams just for fun and for the hell of it. They were playing the top of the top. I mean, because you go look at the Big Ten standings, look at who Indiana has beat in this regular season. Ohio State, Oregon twice. Who else did Indiana beat? They beat Illinois. Illinois is around here in the middle. They beat Penn State, which Penn State's at the bottom. Iowa. Look at this. Iowa's 5, a little bit under Michigan. I would be curious. Maybe we could see this in the future. Indiana versus Michigan. But again, there's parts of me that think, like, with just how good this team is, yeah, you have Indiana go play USC in the Coliseum, or Indiana go play Michigan in the Big House. I'm kind of thinking how it was when Quinn Ewers in Texas went into the Big House. Texas walked out with a win. Indiana's walking out with a win. Like, I think, like, yeah, any of these teams, USC, Michigan, Iowa, Washington, Illinois, Minnesota, Nebraska, North, all the way down. Like, we look at these games, look at the outcomes. Like, you threw them against them, and they answered. So, crazy stat, I know. Crazy stat. The team that plays the best usually wins the most games. Crazy. Such a crazy stat. Ain't that something? What else do I want to talk about, though? That not only after when you throw the best teams against the best teams, and you have experience against other top end teams. That's what I was wanted to look at. Let's go look at Miami schedule for fun. Everybody knows about the Notre Dame game. Again, we don't look at it the same way now since we've already played out the regular season. But South Florida, this could have been a trap game considering what South Florida did to Florida the week before. And again, Florida State, and Miami, in-state rivals. These games could go either way, any direction at any time. And so this win was hella impressive too. The score did not indicate how close this game actually was. Like, Beck, look at this. 19 points scored in the fourth quarter. Yeah, no thanks. Look, touchdown. 4 straight touchdowns, and at one point it was 28-3. It only took till, a fourth quarter surge by Castellanos to get back into this game. Like, for me, the game that made me go, okay, Miami might be the real deal, was after this game. Now the game that made me kind of go, oh shit, okay, maybe they're not the real deal, was the next week when they lost to Louisville. But then when they lost 2 out of 3 in the Louisville, Stanford, SMU stretch of 3 games. But then again, that SMU game was an overtime game. And some people have talked about these stats, and I'll break it down too. Look how many interceptions Beck had. 4. And when you have 4 interceptions, you lose a game. And then against SMU, I don't know how many 2. Okay, he had 2. So, and again, that went to overtime. So, this is why the new 12 team's freaking awesome. Because I would say this is the equivalent of a Cinderella run. When people are talking, because I heard that be a talking point, with how this is why Tulane shouldn't be in it, this is why JMU shouldn't be in it, because it's like Cinderella teams shouldn't be there because this isn't college basketball. I think they're meaning Cinderella team in the way of like an actual Cinderella team, because Miami, if you want to look at it as them as the 10 seed, as the Cinderella, go ahead and look at it that way. But like, Miami's not a Cinderella because the, what am I trying to say here? I think I'm talking in a circle. Like, how do I say this? Like the Cinderella in the way, if you want to look at it as them being the 10 seed, but like the difference and jump between the 10 seed Miami and then 11 seed Tulane, or 10 seed Miami and then 12 seed JMU. That's a huge difference. And even a bigger difference too when you look at the 10 seed Miami and then 9 seed Alabama. So I don't know what point I'm trying to make there. Maybe it's to the point of never mind. Whatever. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Thought I was cooking there, chat. Nope, I burnt it. I burnt the food. You know what's crazy too? This is just me. So Miami played Notre Dame. Let's go back and let's look at it. I know, yucky, don't look at it, because, okay, you look at total yards, okay, these 2 turnovers were a big reason why Miami won this game, okay, and then they won it on a field goal, okay, with a minute left, all right, so a lot of people are looking at it this way, where the Irish are 3 points away from being in the college playoff. Could Miami, if this went differently and Notre Dame ended up winning, or if Notre Dame got in the playoff, could Miami and Notre Dame could it have eventually turned into a rematch, or could Notre Dame have put up a better fight than some of the teams in here, like Texas A&M or like Tulane or JMU? I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to talk about that this offseason. I don't know. This game was freaking ever ago. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this play. Look at this play. You guys are going to love this play. Look at this. Y'all remember this play? So he jumps up, whoop! And then here comes Bane. Pick. This game was for freaking ever ago. Yeah. Like, yeah, Miami. This Miami team has been freaking goated. They've been fun to watch. This year's been a good college football year too. No hating on it. It's been good. And one thing one feeling that I had for this whole year coming into this year is that this year felt like this year I did feel like, considering who the starting returners were coming back, like it's not like we had Penix coming back, or Nix coming back, or Williams coming back, or when Bennett came back to try to run it back with Georgia, or CJ Stroud coming back. Like there weren't any teams that were set and ready to go. Like when we look at the playoff from last year. Here, let me pull up an image of. Let me pull up last year's bracket. Let me show you guys something here. Let me cook here. Let me show you. 2024 college playoff bracket. Okay, let me show you. Let me show you the point I'm trying to make here. Let me cook. Maybe. Let's see if does this look good? No, you can't see half of it. How about this? Okay, yep, you can see. Okay. All right. So then we have Notre Dame and Ohio State. Because it was already a talking point on how many returning starters were coming back for Ohio State, because a lot of them got drafted, because a lot of them were seniors and stuff. Same with the Texas turnover too, because we go from Quinn Ewers to Arch Manning. So there's that. So total, and I get we're in the NIL portal and the NIL era where every year is different, but like returning starters versus what's going on right now with Iowa State and Penn State, where you know, with having 70 kids on a roster, there's only like 30 right now. Okay, so the amount of roster turnover from Texas and Ohio State, there's that. Penn State loaded up and came back, which is why there was a lot of hype behind them this year. But then again, Drew Aller got injured. A lot of guys from Notre Dame got drafted. Only returning starters I can think of is Greathouse, Jeremiah Love. But other than that, I mean, C.J. Carr, he was not the starter. It was Riley Leonard. But then, again, he went and got drafted. A lot of guys from Arizona State's team. Scadaboo, he got drafted. So this roster was a little different. I mean, Tyson came back. Levitt came back. But I think there were a couple defensive guys that went on to declare for the draft. Oregon, same thing. Gabriel's gone. Some guys got drafted. Boise State, no G&T, so I think that was a huge difference. With this Georgia, I don't know how many guys came back, but one player that we know that didn't come back was Beck. So from the top teams, and then you go here, SMU did have some returning starters, but their season wasn't the same. Like, the only team that benefited and got better was Indiana. And then Tennessee, some guys did stay, but we knew, like, Nico left, he hit the portal. The point that I'm trying to make is there wasn't any, so of all the 12 teams talking about here, Clemson, Penn State, Indiana, so a soft 3, maybe soft 4 with Georgia. 4 of the 12 teams reloaded and came back. They didn't do a switch roster and like make super big changes by bringing on bigger names or something and building their roster in some type of way. So you look at this, so with only 4 teams that were in the playoff, like it just seemed like this could have been an open year for something different to happen where, I mean, Florida State looked good there for a minute. Georgia Tech looked good. BYU looked good. Arizona, people were talking about Arizona. People were talking about LSU. People were talking about Florida and LSU. People were talking about Baylor. People were talking about Baylor at the beginning of the season, and we saw how their season ended. It's just, it's funny. So to see where it is now, we're in one of the most open years. Wouldn't you know, when you build a roster and you have a successful roster around you, that's where you find the most success? Who would have known? Who would have known? Anyways, well, we'll end the stream here, guys. Thank you all for listening to me ramble this long. This was a good game. All things considered, I know it sounds like I'm making excuses and making this game sound like an absolute negative. It was not. The only reason why I sound pretty bland and boring is because there's not much to talk about, and this game wasn't as eventful and as jam-packed as yesterday's game was, which my take was absolutely and aged like milk. My take of the Indiana-Oregon game is going to be more entertaining and more like the national championship. That take absolutely aged like milk, because look at how this game turned out. The second quarter, when the game was defined and when we saw, this is what the score is, this is how this game is going to be, it just didn't stay close. It didn't stay close, even though it seemed like it could have. So that's what makes... So sorry if I sound like super down and disappointed in this game. I'm not. It's just there's not as much to talk about in this game as there was in yesterday's game, because the Hoosiers just had this thing from the get-go, like from the opening snap, from the pick six, like it was over at halftime. So anyways, With that being said, though, I think Miami's got a lot, and I mean a lot, on their hands to try to figure out and handle with, Hoosiers coming up. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this stream. Thank you for all the subs lately. If you guys enjoyed this stream, be sure to hit that like button and sub button, and I will try to see you guys in the next one. Hoosiers, baby!